Now, questions if you have them. Yes, please. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. خير جزاكم. نعم سيدي. One first. I cannot hear every word you say. If you come closer, that would be helpful. And if you stand up, that would be also helpful.
The first question is regarding the celebration of Mawlid al-Nabawi. I've been told that there is no text that proves the birth of the Prophet is actually happened on 12th of Rabi'. It's only known it's on a Monday on the year of the elephant. In fact, many scholars, they confirm actually 12th of Rabi' is the death of the Prophet ﷺ. So when we say we celebrate the Mawlid al-Nabawi, when do we do that? That's my first question.
That's one question. That's a beautiful question. You know, I used to say, and I still say, the best way to celebrate his birth is every Monday. Is every Monday. Because the cycle of 1 year is conventional. It's not something that is revealed. The idea of anniversary every year. It doesn't have to be every year. It's a convention. It's an invention by people, by human beings. He emphasized indeed, Akhi Kareem, that he was born on a Monday. And in my opinion, Monday is the anniversary. Every Monday. That's when we are sure he was born on a Monday. And you're right, some ulama have said it was not the 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal. But we found out that most of them say it is the 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal. You probably studied the Rahiq al-Makhtoum, and by some contemporary scholars using computations and then comparing the lunar year to the Gregorian year and the solar year, they came out with a solution which is probable, that's not definitive, that it is the 10th of Rabi' al-Awwal or the 9th of Rabi' al-Awwal. Dhanni, yes, it is dhanni, probabilistic. It is true. But when the ulama of all, in majority, in the reports, it was the 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal. Number one. Number two, they also said it's not that relevant. What is relevant is to be happy. And remember, the ahkam are not necessarily based on الأحكام الشرعية الفقهية are not necessarily based on قطعية but on ظنية. All what we need في الأحكام الفقهية is الظن الراجح, not اليقين. When it comes to even the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when the scholars say this is sahih, they don't mean it is yaqinan said. They mean هذا الظن الراجح الصحيح الحديث الصحيح والآحاد يفيد الظن الراجح most likely, and that's all we need in law, in practicing the law, because that's what also the Quran and the Sunnah teach, that when something is more likely, then that becomes authoritative. So more likely they have argued that it is the 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal, so that's what they are, and celebrating. But also they say during the entire month, they say the month has been honored by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The month has been honored by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not Rasulullah was honored in that month. The month, time was honored by his birth into time in general and into that month in particular, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So they have said, the ulama, by their ijtihad, rahimahullah ta'ala, that the entire month is a month for that correct type of celebration. Again, celebration meaning to be happy that he is. to do what he loves. And we cannot say that you can be happy in Rajab, you can be happy in Safar, you can be happy in Muharram, in every day, but once Rabi'ul Awwal comes, you stop. That's what is lazim. And it cannot happen that way. So yes, indeed, I'd like to celebrate him every breath of my life, and every beat of my heart, and every Monday, every day, and every Monday, simply because I love him. And I wished I could be with him in spirit and in remembrance and in dhikr every beat of my heart. So if we make ourselves, and most of us do, even the ulama and the du'at and those who argue this or that way, most of our time is in dunya. Slow down, and in that day or in that month, make yourself do something more of remembering him and praising him and obeying him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and being happy that he is. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Second question.
Jazakallah khair. The second question, how can we reconcile the hadith that says, in terms of sunnah hasana or not so hasana? When the iqam has been established, then there is no other salah, nafila salah or sunnah salah. It happens every day here, especially in Salat al-Fajr, when the Imam actually already finished Surah Al-Fatiha, and some brothers, when we walk in, instead of joining the Jama'ah, they will prefer to pray Sunnah first.
No. Jazakallah ta'ala. That's an easy question. And it really has nothing to do with bid'ah at all. Alhamdulillah, these are brothers or sisters. Alhamdulillah, that's what they know. That does not mean that that's what the ilm teaches. On the contrary, ilm teaches, alhamdulillah, fiqh teaches, if the imam said Allahu Akbar, actually you should not start any nafila or any sunnah. And you should stop what you are already doing. As the vast majority of the ulama in understanding that text and many other texts. That's the preferred option. And it is makruh when the imam says Allahu Akbar, for me to continue in my nafilah. Especially some of us come to the first line or pray where the imam is going to be standing and one has to wait for them. That's lack of adab, first of all. Not only it's not sunnah, but it's lack of proper etiquette. It's not adab, it's rude to do that. And you should not make the imam wait for you. The rule is when the imam comes, khalas, you follow. إنما جعل الإمام ليؤتم به. That's a text. Follow the imam. Nafila is extra. Wajib is wajib. Farida maktuba is wajib. And even Rasulullah noticed the person when Salah had already started, he was still doing his sunnah or his nafila. And at the end he said, 2 Salah at one time, 2 Salah at one time. No, alhamdulillah, the proper etiquette is, if I'm doing nafila or even sunnah, and the imam says Allahu Akbar, the best attitude of adab at least is to stop everything. And to join, and Allah will give me the reward of what I desired. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. But Ya Rabbi, I stop this because your Nabi commanded me to follow the imam. And for that, Allah will give me the reward without doing. Because my niyyah is correct. Sometimes some ulama in some madhahib, in some understanding, rahmahullah ta'ala, they say, alright, if you had started already your nafila, of course they don't say you are where the imam is going to lead salah, and in the first line, or somewhere, respectfully, that you have started your nafila, and then you want to finish it, but it's not highly recommended to do that, and you're sure that you're going to finish while you're going to reach still the first rak'ah, you don't miss it. Then they say you may do that, but it's not recommended. But some people say, well, they missed the first rak'ah. That's wrong indeed. Wallahu ta'ala alam. But I'm not going to say bid'ah. Simply it's a mistake in fiqhi judgment. Because they're not saying this is the sunnah. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Next question.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Jazakallah khair for the beautiful lecture. And quick question on the principle of the Tarak as applies to Ta'budiyya Act. You clarified, explained that very well. But I remember listening to lectures of other sheikhs related to a fundamental principle of the Qawaid. That
Principle of what?
Qawaid. Fiqhiyya, Qawaid Fiqhiyya. In that discussion, I remember hearing that the general principle for muamalat is one of permissibility, whereas the general principle of Ta'budiyya Act is one of prohibition unless there is a precedence to it. So how do I reconcile that principle
very good
versus the Tarak you mentioned?
Good question. Some ulama have said that when it comes to ibadat, matters of worship, the original state is everything is haram. Unless there is a text that says you can do that. And the original state in mu'amalat is that everything is halal. Unless there is a text that says otherwise. Now that rule is not accepted by all. The part of it that al-aslu fi al-ibadat al-hadr. No, it's not a rule that is accepted. It's not a qaida fiqhiyya, a fiqh axiom that is accepted by all. No, it's not. Number one. Number two, what we have said so far is the answer of the ulama to that contention. What did Mu'adh do? Was it ibadah or mu'amala? What did Umar do? Was it ibadah or mu'amala? Radiallahu ta'ala majma'een. Ibadah. What did Khubayb do? Ibadah or mu'amala? Shall I continue? What did Abdullah ibn Umar do on that issue? Was it ibadah or mu'amala? In other words, all of these are showing, those of course who, alhamdulillah, are involved in what we call inductive analysis, to draw from these texts a rule. So all of these juz'iyat are informing us that that statement is incorrect. But part of it is correct in the sense, because there are other things that say that. For example, Salatul Dhuhr is 4 rak'at. May I make it 5? I want more ibadah. 5 rak'at. That's what they mean by those, that's what they should mean by that rule if it were to be accepted. We cannot invent something anew in every sense, again, that does not comply with the rules of Shara. And in this case, Rasulullah taught us Dhuhr to be 4 rak'at. If we say 5 and I want more ibadah, that goes against an established already sunnah. This is how you pray Dhuhr. So if I pray Dhuhr in a different way, such as adding 1 rak'ah, that's definitely bid'at wa dalalah. They should mean it in that sense. There was no salah. The concept of salah did not exist until the Shara' through Sayyiduna Mawlana Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam established that. There wasn't. So they could not have established ibadah for Allah which Allah did not permit. The original state is you can't invent ibadah except by what Allah Azza wa Jal instructs. But invent ibadah understood through what we have been learning properly. As long as there is no nahi against it and there are principles in Shara' implicitly or explicitly that support it. Amen. Yes, please. The many questions that are written here, actually, we have already answered in what we have been talking about. Many of them are subhanAllah. All of the questions that are here so far, I've looked at 7 or so of them, all have been answered in the presentation, inshallah, including the Mawlid al-Nabawi, including the last question that our dear brother asked, including many of these questions are already answered, and some of them are not necessarily very important. Yes, our dear brother had a question earliest. No, he goes first. Now, forgive me. May Allah bless you for your kindness. Because he was raising his hands earlier on during the sessions, and he was polite enough to stop raising his hands and to wait until Maghrib even to ask the question.
Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum. Is reading Quran in congregation for the salih sawab of a diseased person, is it, bidah?
Yes. Jazakallah ta'ala khair. That, in my opinion, as I understood it from most of the ulama, is neither bid'ah, and therefore it's not even a bad bid'ah. It is actually a practice of the Salaf. How is that? Remember I told you in this masjid sometime somewhere that Al-Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, Sayyiduna Ahmad ibn Hanbal, was visiting in a cemetery. And he was with two of his great students. Right? Remember one of whom was La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Was I think Ali ibn Musa and La ilaha illallah, and the other one. Yeah, Muhammad ibn Qudama al-Jawhari. And a blind man was reading Quran at the grave of a deceased relative. Sayyiduna Ahmad ibn Hanbal says to his scholarly student, who was a scholar of ilm and of hadith and of fiqh, he says, they were his students, and he says, please go tell him to stop, that's bid'ah. Meaning bid'ah in the negative sense. The scholar, politely after that, he says to him, what do you say about Mubashir al-Halabi, scholar in hadith? And he says, thiqah. He's a trustworthy scholar in reporting. He says to him, كتبت عنه شيئا? Did you ever actually use him as a reference and wrote something that he related? He said, yes. That means now he's sure that it's reliable. He said, Mubashir al-Halabi told me. And he mentions the chain, that he heard the tabi'i from his father that Sayyiduna Abdullah ibn Umar counseled and left a will that when he dies, that they should read Quran, Al-Baqarah, or beginning at the end of Al-Baqarah at his grave after they bury him. Then he says, and this is Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Now this is another example of bid'ah. But thought of it, negotiated, argued with sincerity, and then after that he says to him, go tell the blind man to continue to read. SubhanAllah, what a beautiful, noble attitude. And this is the master of hadith, who is to memorize, some ulama say, something like 1,000,000 hadith. That is including the asanid, and hadith mawqufa, and da'ifa, and sahiha, and so on. He says, yes, he changed his mind. It was bid'ah, and then he didn't. Oh, a text comes, to him it was authentic enough, khalas, tell him, I'm sorry, please continue to read. Number one. The text also teaches that Imam Sha'bi, a great tabi'i, scholar of ilm and of hadith, he said that it was the practice of the Ansar. The Salaf, the Ansar, when somebody dies, that they read Quran around his grave and around him. And that's why Imam Ahmad had that opinion, rahimahullah ta'ala. And some scholars opposed that, but with time, now almost all the schools of thought and most of the ulama of all the schools of thought say that is hasan. It's good to do. Amen. Wallahu ta'ala alam. And I said to you that Imam Ibn Taymiyyah even himself practiced that, and it was practiced when he died around his body and around his grave. Rahimahullah ta'ala. May Allah help us do the right things. Yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I have one question about mid Shaban that Sheikh, you just mentioned that celebration is okay, but I just wanted to know a little bit more about, what is the significance of it, and in which, up to what point we need to keep it. Like many of the people in subcontinent, they do believe this is the night where next year future is written, and how they celebrate is they pray whole night, nafil, till maybe 2 or 3 o'clock, and then they go to sleep and they miss the Fajr. So what is the main significance of it, and up to what point celebration goes?
Very clear, very good. But again, please forgive me because Maghrib is in a few minutes. I definitely, in this case, I cannot answer your questions in details, but that I don't want to. Time. But on other occasions we can do that, inshallah. Maybe next time if I'm still around, and living, inshallah ta'ala, before the mid of the night of Sha'ban, the night of the mid Sha'ban, I shall speak in more details about that. And yes, that we mentioned, they believe so, is from the texts.
Silence, please.
That's not their invention. That's from the texts. To go, alhamdulillah, and be in salah all night. What's wrong with that? You should be in salah all night, every night. So when the middle of the night of Sha'ban comes, you stop? The text doesn't say you don't do that. The text teaches that on that night, Rasulullah ﷺ was in salah and in sujood, as the Sayyidah Aisha relates, that he was in long sujood. And then after that, he went and visited the graves in Al-Baqi'. And then he told her as he came, because she was wondering where did he go. She even thought something, I'm not going to tell you. And then he told her, do you know what night this is? And then he told her what night that was, and the many merits of this night, and what Allah, by His grace, gives to His ibad on this night. I said there are inauthentic ahadith, even spurious ahadith on this issue, but there are also strong ahadith on this issue, and weak ahadith on this issue that are acceptable as arguments, as you mentioned earlier. Now the person who, mashallah, goes to be in ibadah to Allah Azza wa Jalla on this night until 2 o'clock in the morning and misses Fajr, what are we going to tell him? You should not perform qiyam? We should say, subhanallah, may Allah reward you for the first part, and may Allah forgive you for the second part. But the best thing is to do both. It is more important to perform Fajr and attend Fajr than being Qiyamul Layl. That's for sure. That's for sure. Why? Because Fajr is Fard, Wajib. And Qiyamul Layl is Mustahab, Mandub, Sunnah. Of course, but we cannot tell them, see what it did to you? Don't do that. No, alhamdulillah, that's khair. We say, well, alhamdulillah, may Allah reward you for that, and may Allah forgive you for the other one. And may you next time not commit the same mistake, inshaAllah ta'ala. Amen. Yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Can anybody start a new bid'ah?
Can what? I'm sorry?
Can anybody start a new bid'ah hasana?
Okay, hayyakallah. What have we learned? From what we learned, how do you answer the question? Don't tell him.
It's difficult.
Okay, hayyakallah. Well, may Allah reward you. Well, we don't find it difficult, because the answer from all what we were saying, as was emphasized by me in so many places, who does that? The scholars, the ulama, the mujtahidun. I told you, even if you have your PhD in physics, or in psychology, or in history, or in sociology, or even a PhD in medicine, and rare are those who do PhDs in medicine, that doesn't make you a mujtahid, a alim in the deen, to opine that, no, this is going to be a good bid'ah, or this is a bad bid'ah. That's for the ulama, whose lives are for that. Rahimahumullah ta'ala. And that's why there are some who who perhaps willingly or unwillingly want to break our relationships with the ulama, so that their opinions are also accepted. See? Don't listen to Malik, don't listen to Abu Hanifa, don't listen to Shafi'i. They're just people like us. See? I can opine too. And when we lose reverence for these, then we can accept the opinion of anybody. And that's done so that those opinions are accepted. Because when you lose that, nobody has value in your mind except yourself or that person. Khalas. But if you have reverence for ilm, somebody who's not at that level, say thank you, thank you. But that's not enough for some people. You have to follow me. So part of that is demeaning from the values of the ulama and the mujtahidun rahimahumullah ta'ala. And that way, their opinions can sell. Whoever they are. May Allah forgive us and protect us all, inshallah ta'ala.
Do we have more time, or
yes,
is
yes,
it?
we do. Yes,
okay,
we do.
So
if you do have more time, because it is now Maghrib, so we can practice another sunnah which I'll tell you about later.
Inshallah,
And then
we'll take we'll take it from sister side and see if any questions from the
2
sisters.
or 3 more questions, and we have to stop, inshallah.
Any questions from the sister side? You have the mic upstairs.
No, we don't. Thank you.
But we can hear you somehow. We heard you. What did you use?
We sent the questions down, and you
Okay,
said you have
you-
already discussed.
You don't have any questions. Okay,
Oh, I'm sorry, I
Jazakumullah.
apologize.
Okay, Jazakumullah.
Jazakumullah, may Allah bless you. Yes, please. Alaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum. I mean,
Assalamu alaikum.
nowadays the bid'ah of moon sighting, like pre-announced, like they've announced in advance the moon sighting. When the text says you have to see the moon, and there's another text that says the Prophet says we're not the people of calculation. So what's your opinion? Is this a bid'ah or?
Where do you live? May I ask, where do you live? Where? Murphy. Where is Murphy? In Iran, Africa. May Allah bless you, my dear brother. Allah barak fik. This past Ramadan and before Ramadan, we spend hours and hours talking about this issue. Amen. And now I hope everyone who is here knows what our opinion on this matter is, from the texts, from the analysis of the text, from the words of the ulama, that the least to say that the right approach is to not to begin fasting until the moon is sighted, regardless of what calculations show or don't show. Unless definitive calculations, I say definitive, and we talked about all of those details, qat'i, definitive calculations show that it is absolutely impossible for it to be sighted at any level. Then we can use that to say, if somebody claims I sighted it, we're sorry you did not. That we can do. But to ignore sighting and to say, let's perform calculation on the basis of the birth of the moon or certain degrees above the horizon on the last day of the month of Sha'ban, even if it is not sighted, and let's start that's wrong. Is it bid'atu dalala? I prefer at this point not to say that, and to say it is definitely wrong. Definitely wrong. And remember, some of you do remember why it is like that. And the evidence and the proof and the texts and the analysis and the science all behind that we shared for weeks to reach the conclusion that as the rule is amongst the vast majority of the ulama of this ummah, always, even when they knew computations, astronomical computations, almost as exactly as we know them, the answer was always because the text says, لا تصوموا حتى حتى تروا الهلال. Now if you come with something new that violates this text, that is called bid'ah dalala. But I say it is very wrong, because I'm afraid to use the word bid'ah. Very afraid to use that word unless it's absolutely obvious, especially to the other side. In this case it is wrong, and in this case it could even be really a wrong type of bid'ah indeed. Wallahu ta'ala alam. One more question. Yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa
Wa
rahmatullah.
alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I got a question from a Shiite brother one time. He was saying that why do people from Ahlul Sunnah, they follow like fiqh like Imam Hanif rahimahullah, Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala, when we could be following when the Shiites, they say we follow the fiqh of the Ahlul Bayt. And so we follow because people say that, they say the Sunnis say that they follow Ja'fari fiqh or some other fiqh, but the Shiites themselves, they say no, we follow the fiqh of Ahlul Bayt. Why don't the Ahlul Sunnah follow the fiqh of the Ahlul Bayt?
The Ahlul Sunnah do follow the fiqh of Ahlul Bayt. Radiallahu ta'ala wa alayhim salamullah. We have the people of Ahlul Bayt in the world that are outside of for example, the Shia realm. And they are of Ahlul Bayt. And we have descendants of Ahlul Bayt in many places of the world, where I come from, where some of you perhaps here have some that know some people like that, or of that origin. And we do. But we do that with proper channels, proper isnad. We do that. The love of Ahlul Bayt is obligatory. You find in Bukhari tons of texts of Asanid where Ahlul Bayt are in the chain. Imam Ja'far, his father, his children, Imam Ali, Zayn al-Abidin, Sayyiduna Ali wa Mawlana, Khalifatu wa Rasulillah, Al-Hassan, Al-Hussein, Fatima al-Zahra, Sayyidatuna Mawlatuna, Khadija, Sayyidatuna Mawlatuna. They are our masters, they are our imams. They are. But simply, there is an approach in terms of making sure of the veracity of what is attributed to them. They are all fiqh. But somebody says, he told me. Maybe that person who says, he told me, could be non-fiqh. There are, for example, people who learn from fiqh, and they lie. And that fiqh did not say, for example, it happens amongst the Sunnis or amongst others as well. No. Mahabbatu Ahlul Bayt is ibadah, is worship. And when we're sure of an opinion of the people of Ahlul Bayt in the scholarly sense, that is one of the most important sources of knowledge. It must not be construed otherwise. And there is a lot more to be said about that, but I think this would be, inshallah ta'ala, enough to make that point. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Final question.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, sister. Wa alaikum salam.
I have a question about the Mawlid al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam.
So how would we differentiate celebrating the Mawlid al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with the Christians who celebrate the Christmas? Especially when we have a hadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that you will follow what those who pass before you did. And he especially mean Christians and Jews.
Allah. Jazakillahu ta'ala khairan. Think about it. Think about it. Does that text mean that everything they do we must not do like? Is that what it means? Because that statement means that. Well, they do it, therefore we should not do that. The Jews in his time did something in ibadah, and he says, let's do that exactly the same way. Because we know better, and we deserve to do that more than they do. In fasting on the day that Allah saved Sayyidina Musa and the children of Israel who followed him. So keep that in mind. That's an example. There are tons of examples like that. Unless the text says don't do that. If they are celebrating the birth of Sayyidina Isa, it's wonderful. But what is wrong with that? Isa alayhi salam to them is what? Right. Is the begotten Son of God. Ta'ala Allah amma yasifun. Is one of the triune or the Trinity. Is the Holy Spirit. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit is one. That's the point. The point is not that they are happy for his birth. You're happy that you have a son that was born or a daughter that was born. Aren't you? So who is more dear to you? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam or your son and daughter? If you're happy with the birth of your son and you'd like to remember that, if you do, his birth is should be more beloved to you and to me. Indeed. So please understand, not because the people of the book have done things we don't do. That does not exist in the repertoire of Islamic knowledge. Early in the morning, what have we learned about the different sources of ilm, of knowledge? What was one of those sources in accordance to our deen and our teaching of the ulama? What was it? Now, pertaining to this issue, Ahlul Kitab, Christians and Jews. Shar'u man qablana. There you go. Some people are here. Good. Shar'u man qablana. The verdicts, the rules, and the legal injunctions of those who came before us, specifically meaning Christians and Jews, on matters in which our deen does not say you don't. That become in accordance to a great number of ulama of old. But that's also a source of Islamic knowledge, as long as it does not contradict an explicit text in the Quran or in the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. So that statement, in other words, if made by some, is improper, is erroneous. And yes, I have heard that, people say that, but those who say that are not truly ulama of the caliber that you are talking about. May Allah forgive me and forgive us all. May Allah bless you, reward you, protect you, guard you, and guard our hearts from allowing anything that He does not love inside of us, or from allowing anything that He does not love outside of us towards others. May Allah bless this day and bless for us what we have learned and bless for us after we leave, inshaAllah ta'ala. And may we continue to learn together and to practice together what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam love. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.